Empty the chamber on them. And how do you do that? First 6 seconds, point A to point B, everything you got. Everything you got. Turn that shit up. Let's go.
Welcome to the Scoop World Order Spygate edition. Somebody got caught doing something wrong, and I don't think Ohio State's going to say anything about it, but we heard about it, and we've got all the details. We're going to break down what was going on in the Mercedes-Benz Dome. It's not good. It's something very, very interesting, and we are going to get all into the details. So appreciate you guys tuning in tonight because this is going to be a spicy one. With that being said, as always, we are thankful and grateful for you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to crush this thing for about an hour, and then we're going to go tune into the rest of the bowl game. So I hope you guys are having a great night. The clock is ticking. The game is going to be here in 2 sleeps, so this is about to get crazy. That being said, I am going to bring in my good friend, Nevada Buck. Nevada Buck, you got a very interesting little note tonight from one of your people down in Atlanta about what was going on. There was a rumor, and then you got some pretty good confirmation. What did you find out about Spygate? Oh, hang on one second. You're in the red room. I got to put you in the green room. All right. Good. All right, go ahead.
Okay, I'm glad I'm out of the green room. First of all, when I originally heard this story, I really thought that there was nothing to this story. I mean, so I was definitely not a true believer about stuff like this. And when I heard the initial report, I was kind of like, yeah, I don't really think there's a whole lot to it. But then I started digging a little deeper, and I started hearing from multiple sources down there that Ohio State found a camera that was recording their practice. And the camera was an unmanned camera set recording. And the interesting thing about it was pointed directly at the field. And so the explanation that they got from this was, oh, that was just a mistake, and it was just to film promos for the bowl game. And Ohio State's not going to make a really big deal out of this, but they really feel like they busted Georgia recording their practice. And now Ohio State's not going to make a big deal out of this, but then now they've got a policy of sweeping the entire field looking for these things in the days running up to it. So if they didn't think this was anything, I don't think they'd be doing that. So I think there was something to this. There clearly was some edge that somebody within Georgia was looking for, and Ohio State kind of busted them with the unmanned camera. So this is I'm not saying it's a scandal, but it's kind of a scandal, and it certainly got my interest, and it certainly is going to make the game on Saturday even spicier than usual.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think this is a huge deal because, when you're taping practice, obviously you're getting formations, you're getting how they're going to line up, versus your defense or whatever, but you also could get the signals, which is huge. And they made an adjustment. I know that we've got a nugget that we're probably going to either go with tonight or tomorrow, how Ohio State is adjusting to the news that this unmanned camera was found. And kudos to Ryan Day and CJ Barnett and the security guys for finding this thing and thinking to sweep the stadium and not trusting Georgia or the Sugar Bowl, or excuse me, the Peach Bowl. Because, again, you have to remember where they're playing at. They're playing in Georgia. Atlanta is filled with Georgia alums, Georgia, SEC fans, the whole thing. And so, for the Peach Bowl, you get them, get them a couple bourbons deep. You get them, real honest. They want Georgia to win. There's no question they want Georgia to win. They're going to act like, kind, polite Southern gentry hosts, but they want Georgia to kick the living crap out of us because, their whole brand is Georgia football, the home of football, home of the College Football Hall of Fame, So they want Georgia to win because, deep down, they are proud people of the state of Georgia. So they want to feed us to the lions and, let it be a spectacle, and, they'll put on a good show, and I'm sure they're very hospitable, but, I've seen this movie before, I know this movie before. When we practiced outdoors at Tulane getting ready for LSU, and we're surrounded by 8, these big apartment buildings, very easy vantage points to set a camera up. And again, am I trying to be crazy? No. But would it be super easy to practice every snap of practice we had? Oh, absolutely. I would do it. If I was a a fan or a donor or a booster, and I own that building and I could get a clear shot of everything that Ohio State was doing, I'd absolutely do that and send it over to Les Miles. And like Georgia just got caught doing it. So, it's not crazy, and they did it. These guys are smart. Let's turn the camera on, walk away, go eat at the Chick-fil-A in the food court at the stadium or whatever, or let's go, act like we have no idea why this camera's rolling. We have no idea. Oh, it's we're shooting a promo of your team practicing, with the camera rolling. And I don't know. It's just, I would love to have seen the reaction when Ohio State, and again, big credit to Ryan Day and CJ Barnett and those guys for sweeping the field and not trusting these people. Because I'm telling you, it's a big deal. It's a huge deal. Nevada, does this change anything in your mind? Again, I'm glad they found it. I don't know what Georgia could get out of it. I'm sure they probably didn't let them have that tape, but does this change anything in how you view the game or how you view Ryan Day? Or I'm proud. I'm glad these guys caught these guys for the cheating they're trying to do.
Yeah, well, like I said, I've liked the tone from Day, and I'm no Day apologist or I'm not like some Day fanboy that just thinks everything that Ryan does is the greatest thing in the world. But I think he's handled himself really well during this bowl prep. I think he's handled himself really well in the media sessions in the days leading up to this game. And I love their approach, man. I love their approach. It's businesslike. It's very matter of fact, but you can tell how loose they are and how they're letting it hang out, and they're going to approach the game and kind of, they've got nothing to lose. And Ryan said that today. Ryan actually said during the press conferences, hey, nobody expects us to win, so there's absolutely no pressure on us. And I know that's the message that they're giving to the team. And the fact that I know what he's going to be saying to the team about this camera is, hey, look how concerned Georgia is about playing us, guys. They're trying to record our practice. That's how much they're gripping right now. And I think little things like that. I like the way that the game's shaping up, and this Cameragate, Spygate thing just adds another little dimension to the game on Saturday, and it certainly makes it extra interesting and adds another layer of complexity to an already great story. But like I said, I've said before, I've said it many times, Ohio State is going to outperform expectations. And if you're going to the game and you're thinking that, oh, this is going to be a cakewalk for Georgia, they're going to blow Ohio State out, it is not going to happen. Ohio State is going to play, and it's going to play well. And I think they're going to shock some people on Saturday night. And I'm calling it right now. I'm looking for a shocking performance by the Buckeyes. And this Spygate thing just makes it that much more fun.
I agree. The more I watch film, and it's like I rewatch the same games every day just to get a feel of what I'm expecting. And Ohio State and Zach Smith made this point earlier today on his show, has played 6 top 25 defenses this year. Georgia's played 1. They played Kentucky, and they didn't really move the ball real well versus the Wildcats. So, again, like you look at some of these, Oregon was like 75th in defense, and Oregon's it's a flashy brand. They beat us last year, but they weren't as good as they were last year. They didn't have their good defensive end, and Thibodeau, and so for me, I don't know. Like I don't want to be too overconfident or anything, but I love the matchups. I really do. I mean, you say, you go back to that 14 team where we played Bama, and you have Cardell playing quarterback, who ended up winning a national title. Nobody's taking, Cardell over CJ Stroud. I mean, CJ is going to be a top 10, 15 NFL draft pick. We had Marvin. I mean, our receivers are probably better than that group. The O-line is very comparable. This O-line's probably more talented than that group at that time. Now, I know eventually Billy Price became a first-round pick, and Taylor was a first-round pick, and Elfline, but, Billy was only a freshman at that point. With Darrell versus DeJuan, I mean, obviously DeJuan's a much better NFL prospect. Paris is better than Taylor Decker was. So, there's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of stuff, and we have to. Our skill guys are going to have to carry the mail and win the game for us. They're going to have to beat the corners, beat them down. I don't think that they've seen. I mean, LSU has good receivers, but they're not on the level of Emeka and Marvin. So I don't know. I don't want to be overconfident because we could go out and lose 77-0. I could be a total moron, total misread on the game. But these guys have been beat down. I mean, Nevada, you saw the comments. There's an entire ESPN article about CJ Stroud's social media. What is your take on that? 'Cause I talk to these kids a lot, and I say, look, you guys, there's no reason to be on social media, but they're on it. They love it. They love searching their names. It's like drinking poison and expecting it to kill someone else other than yourself. But what are your thoughts on CJ Stroud saying how negatively he was affected by social media after the Michigan game?
Well, I think it was more than just a CJ Stroud thing. I think it's the entire team thing. And, I really feel bad for kids today because I know, having kids myself, I know how difficult it is to get away from the addiction of social media. And it is an addiction. It's an addiction looking for affirmation on likes on tweets or likes on videos or likes on comments or thumbs ups or whatever. And, people, they got their nose in the, Instagram or whatever else you're on, or TikTok, all day long. And, when you're reading the comments, it's not going to be positive. And especially you lose a game, you're an old man that played way back when in 2007 or something like that, before the age of social media. If you can imagine, losing those games and then having to read the comments in social media, I mean, it was bad enough just having to be like a normal civilian, let alone just immersing like the worst of the worst into your bedroom, with your phone every day. And so I feel bad for these kids. I feel bad for anybody who has to, kind of submit themselves to that. But don't think for a second it doesn't affect them, because it does. These are young kids. These are 18-year-olds, 19-year-old, 20-year-old guys, and the relentless attacks of social media are. Like you said, it's poison. It's poison for them, and I really do feel bad for them. As much as we want to think, oh, these guys are getting paid and they're getting NIL, and so I'm not going to feel sorry for them. As a father and as a fan, I genuinely feel bad for them, and wish they could put down the phones. But I know how difficult that is for everybody to do.
Well, here's my thing. I mean, because obviously, we had a hell of a 90 or 18-month stretch where we got dragged, and we had people say some pretty nasty stuff to us. But again, I don't care, because most of those people are morons, so I don't even care what they think, because all of the smart people will actually know what really happened. But with these kids, the two things that are really going to kill these kids are NIL, because now people are going to say, oh well, they're not amateurs anymore. The student athlete thing's been dead for years, but now they're not student athletes, so I can beat on them like a professional athlete. And gambling coming to Ohio, which it's becoming widespread, and people are going to because I always thought that the most vicious people on social media and on message boards were people that lost money on the game, people that gambled over their heads, over their skis. We didn't hit the over, we didn't win. People get drunk, and so like Saturday, it is just like a toxic cesspool. After a loss, it's really bad, and I always felt like the most vitriol came from people that gambled over their heads. They lost too much money. They got drunk, and then they just unleash hell on these kids. And I've always thought that. I think I'm right about that. Now these guys are able to place bets on their phones without an offshore account or a bookie or whatever. So there's going to be people that bet over their skis, and they're going to lose the ranch. And how do they get their pound of flesh back? They beat on these kids. I mean, Harry Miller, it's well chronicled what he went through. I mean, he was basically suicidal after reading social media posts, after reading about having 3 holding calls in the game, after having bad snaps, and people are they're disgusting, and honestly, that's the hard part, because, the same people that drag you and are disgusting on social media are the same people that are going to be the first ones to buy all your national championship merchandise, all your, they're going to stand in line for your autograph. They're going to do all that stuff, because that's just how it is. Like the pendulum swings really wide both ways between the ultimate adulation that you get from winning a national championship and the ultimate disappointment that they have from when you lose a game like Michigan, or you lose to Georgia, or you lose to Clemson, or whatever the scenario is. So, and I tell this because I'm like, look, you can't have it both ways. You can't be turned into a god when you win a national title, like Cardale and some of these guys on the 14 and 02 teams are, and then not have them be really angry with you when you lose. That's just kind of how it is. Because if you want the pendulum to swing this wide, which is what it's like at Ohio State. You got to go to like an Akron or Miami of Ohio or Northwestern where people really don't care, and and there's no expectations, and have the pendulums to swim, like this far. And that's just my opinion on it. And I've lived it as a player. I've lived it as a coach. I've been on teams that were undefeated. I've been on teams that won the Sugar Bowl, won the Fiesta Bowl. And I've been on a team that was 6-7. The year that Trussell got whacked and Luke, we were out there with Bowserman and Braxton as a freshman, and we were terrible. And so I've seen both ends of Buckeye Nation. I've lost national championship games. I've won big bowl games. I've beaten Michigan. I've seen it all. I mean, probably more than anybody in history, because I've seen it as a coach, as a player, all angles, and it can be nasty. And even after we lost to Florida, I mean, we had Facebook. I mean, trust me, people were finding us and writing us. Ryan Hamby was getting death threats on Facebook in 2005. So I know that's Stone Age. There wasn't Twitter, there wasn't Instagram, there wasn't TikTok, but I mean, I had to go to class the day after we lost to Florida,
wait a second. Back in 2005, was it still called the Facebook back in 2005 or something like that?
That is a great question. I don't know. I know that Facebook came out in the spring of 2004, and that was like the explosion of like basically online dating, online hookups. Like these guys, like I remember Tyler Everett was like, "Are you on the Facebook?" And I was like, "What's the Facebook?" I never heard of it. And he's like, "Dude, you got to get on here. There's girls on here." And I was like, "Dude, it's just weird." I was like, "They're like MySpace or." There's this thing called Black Planet that the guys were all on, and I'd be like, I'm not getting on that. And then like pretty soon, Black Planet. Oh, dude, that was the wave, man. For that 02 team, they were loving some Black Planet. That was like the hookup site, and I mean, obviously, like I don't have any business being on Black Planet, but a lot of the homies were. But I just laugh because I sit there and I'm like, you look at where it's at now, and the way the culture is now, and it's like, man, like social media, it ruins more lives than like meth or drugs or alcohol. Social media, like kids like kill themselves over what they see in social media, and athletes are no different. I mean, these athletes, man, there's guys that are making $40 million in the NBA that are sad and depressed because they read mean tweets and mean Instagram posts and you suck. And I would sit there and I'd be like, man, I don't care what you say, because I made more in a quarter of basketball than you'll probably make in your life. So whatever. But I don't know. It's a weird world right now. God, we are on a hell of a tangent right now. You had anything to wrap this up when we get back to some Peach Bowl talk?
Well, no, just I can't imagine what it was like being back on the Facebook there when you were there with Mark Zuckerberg and his partner, just the three of you guys forming that. That must have been really exciting. The Winklevoss twins and
when did you first hear of the Facebook? Like last year, probably. You still haven't heard of it?
No, I'm still on MySpace. It's kind of lonely on MySpace right now. There's like 4 of us or something like that, but I'm waiting for it to come back.
Well, I think the funny thing is like back when Facebook first came out, it was super cool because you had to have a college email address to make an account. So it was basically just for college kids. So I mean, there was like instant verification that you're actually talking to like a college person, because and like when your school got it, it was like a big deal. Because Ohio State was like the first school in Ohio to have it, and then eventually Kent and Akron and all them got it. But it was just nuts. I mean, I remember I was like, this is like so weird, and it turned into I don't know. It was, man, our comments are going crazy right now. Holy cow. But Nevada, we're getting down to, I mean, the hay's in the barn now, man. They got a walkthrough left tomorrow. They're done with practice. 1 day to go, one more sleep to go. Tomorrow is the best Friday in football for Ohio State. Again, I ask you this every day, and I know it doesn't really have to change, but how are you feeling as of today, as we have, God, we're literally at 48 hours from kickoff. It's 7:30 Eastern right now. We're 48 and a half hours away. How are you feeling this close to the game? Has anything changed over the past week?
Well, I think the thing that's changed, the only thing that was kind of an open item for me that changed was the health of Mayan Williams. Mayan's back. There was concern whether they were holding him out as due to injury or re-injury, or if it was really the flu as we had reported, and it really was the flu. They put him on IVs, give him some bed rest, some chicken soup there for a couple of days, and he's back and at it. And there's no reason to believe that he won't be 100% full go on Saturday. And I think that's a positive. I've said before that I was kind of indifferent about all the running backs and still feel that way. But a healthy Mayan Williams is certainly not a bad thing. And I think for Ohio State, they're going into this as healthy as they've been all year long, and healthier than they've been in a while. And that's a real positive. Like I said, everything about the game is setting up you beautifully. Even this last little, alleged cheating by Kirby Smart and the secret camera filming the practice. I just think this all just plays right to the Buckeyes' benefit. And I was looking at some stats earlier. Ohio State fans. Ohio State's not an underdog very often. Let's put that right out there. But in the last 20 times Ohio State has been an underdog, they're 16-4 against the spread. 16-4. So that should tell you, they tend, when they get put in these spots, they tend to overachieve. And that's why, a lot of people are asking, how can the line still be at 6.5? And when all these bets are coming in on Georgia, that's because Vegas is afraid to move that line up to 7 because the sharps will jump all over it, because Ohio State plays well in these spots. And everything I'm hearing about the game plan, about the health, about the psyche, about the mindset, about what they feel that they did wrong, about what they feel that they can do right, and about this Georgia team is pointing to a really big effort by the Buckeyes on Saturday, and feeling really good. And I'm ready to call it right now. I'm calling big effort for the Buckeyes on Saturday. Buckle up. Going to be a heck of a game.
Yeah, I love our matchups. It looks like their backup right tackle is going to be going, Amarius Mims. That is a kid that jumped in the portal earlier in the year. I don't know if he's all in. He wasn't all in earlier in the year. He literally was a portal guy. He was a guy that I thought Ohio State should have went after. A true freshman last year. I believe he's a true sophomore this year. Their starter's out, it looks like. So, if I'm Jack Sawyer or JT or one of those guys, I would bull rush him into eternity the first play, headbutt him, go after him, let him know what's up, first play of the game. That guy's, again, he's not used to the spotlight. He hasn't played a lot. So I think you have to go after that kid hardcore. The bright lights, loud, and just get after him. We have a super chat. Appreciate you, CJ. It said, love the show, guys. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate the love, everybody. And I've been hearing the same rumors about the cameras. I'm glad they found out about it with Kirby. And again, I wasn't looking for this. Like I wasn't like, oh God, let's go. The cameras are out and it has to be true. But we just got some really, really good sources and got some good text messages tonight. And I was like, should we go on this and make a podcast on it? Because I mean, again, like you always, when you get information, you kind of have to filter it, consider the source, verify it. And we got it from rock solid people. So, I mean, that made it, people that are deep inside the team. And I was like, man, this is a big story, And again, Ohio State's not making a big stink of it. Like Ryan's not going to come out and say something at the press conference. Hey, we found a camera, because there's plausible deniability. Because Kirby Smart say, oh, I have no idea what you're talking about. And the Peach Bowl guy must have been leaving the camera on and, getting ready for a promo shoot sure. Like, of course, you got a camera pointed right at the field while we're practicing. And, I have no idea, because you can always put degrees of separation. Again, you got to follow the breadcrumbs, because Belichick obviously got caught for Spygate. Saban is that's his mentor, it's his best friend, and then Kirby Smart is that's kind of what Belichick is to Saban is to Kirby Smart. So I mean the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And again, these guys are sophisticated. It's not like Kirby Smart went up there and set the camera up and is sitting there holding the tripod. Like they've got 8 degrees of separation, or they can deny it. But that's how the game's played. I mean, that's why these guys are good in the SEC, because they do stuff and they never get caught, because there's so many layers of separation. And God bless them. I mean, that's why they dominate, because they know they've figured out how to cheat. They figured out how to do it in recruiting. They figured out how to do it in this stuff. And people always say, oh, they've never been caught. They've never shown me where there's been an infraction. I was like, well, they're too sophisticated for that. So this is how they roll. But I love the matchups. I mean, again, I keep going back and, where could they get us? Obviously you have to hump on Jalen Carter. I mean, if Jalen Carter gets off in this game, then I don't want to say you should fire the offensive staff, but it's just like you can't let a guy like that get off when he's really by far the best guy. He's like the Aaron Donald. Like Aaron Donald is by far the best guy in the Rams D. Can't let him beat you. You got to double team every play. You got to cut him. You got to wear him out. You got to, chunk him with the running back. I love that word. Urban always talked about that. And it's like you gotta make his life miserable. And there's ways to make a defensive tackle's life miserable, but you can't just let him go one-on-one versus Matt Jones, because that's a terrible matchup for us. Even if Matt's healthy, he's not on that level with you. And maybe he is. I hope he proves me wrong and he just handles him one-on-one. But why fight that fight when you don't have to? I love our defense. Again, we watched some of the Michigan film last night, and guys, like, we were really close. I mean, I know, like, it sounds crazy when you look at the stats and give up 250 yards rushing and 75-yard touchdowns, and how close could you be? But it's like you watch the film and you're like a yard away from making a tackle, or a foot away from making a tackle, or a moment of hesitation away from making a tackle, and it's a totally different ballgame. It wasn't like we were just getting dominated, blown off the ball, like destroyed. It was like, no, we had like one guy screw up and it went for 75 yards. And again, Jim Knowles runs an aggressive style, and I think he's gonna be very aggressive against these tight ends. I think he's gonna put in a guy like Josh Proctor and have him go knock the hell out of Brock Bowers and set the tone early. And I think you have to throw a bunch of different pitches. You can't just throw fastballs. You gotta mix in a changeup, mix in a screwball, a cutter, whatever. Nevada, what do you foresee? How do you foresee the game starting off? Do we do tempo? Do we go no huddle? Do we blitz them early? Do you have any feel for what to expect at the beginning of the game?
Well, I do think we're going to go fast, but I want to go back to the camera just for a second. Did you think that it was like stuck up in like a nanny cam, like an UGA, like a stuffed UGA or something like that, where they had like the little thing coming out of his nose or something like that? Or do you think it was like?
I think it has. It's got to be something with a zoom, and it's got to be something in HD or 4K. I mean, you don't need an iPhone can record in 4K. I mean, literally, you could put an iPod in a tripod and film the practice and stream the practice. I mean, it's not. Again, it would be really interesting to see if they had like a full big camera on a tripod, because that seems so stupid, because you could get if you really wanted to do it, you could get a little spy cam and put it on a post and, zoom in and leave it there for 3 hours and then download the film and put it on, and put it into your film system. Or, I don't think they'd be stupid enough to upload it into their film system. They'd probably be watching it offline on some offshore, cloud, whatever. But, I don't know. I love that. I love that we found it. That's like the greatest part, is the fact that we actually found it and they swept it. And then Ohio State, I'm sure they said something behind the scenes, but they didn't say it directly to the media or Kirby Smart. And again, I wasn't looking for this. I wasn't like, ooh, man, I'm going to go hunt this one down. Ooh, man, I can't wait to see if the Spygate thing really happened. Because when I first saw it, I kind of rolled my eyes. I was like, yeah, whatever. But after tonight, with the people that said it to me, I was like, okay, this is real. There's real smoke there. This isn't just some dumb internet rumor that came up on a message board or whatever. And because it was on Bucknuts, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, and people were like, yeah, right, whatever, it's stupid. And again, I paid no mind to it until tonight when I got that text. I was like, oh, wow. I mean, considering who I got the text from, I was like, yes, I think it happened. I think it really did happen. So, but I don't know. That's the thing that's weird is if you're trying to be slick and sophisticated, you're in an NFL stadium that has, 100 luxury suites and canopies. And, I don't know how you can sweep the entire building, because it's so big, over 2 hours. Unless you have an army of people and they're like a SWAT team, I don't know how you can go through every single room, every single suite, every single little nook and cranny of the place. The canopies on the roof, the press box. Again, but sometimes, you got to consider who has access to what. And I remember when New England's camera guy got caught at, I think it was Cincinnati was having a practice or a walkthrough or something, and They were filming it a couple years ago, like in the stadium, and they set up a camera, a tripod during their walkthrough, and walked away. And it's not always the most sophisticated, CIA level operative that's doing this kind of stuff. And it might have been, someone that can just say, oh, I wanted to watch Ohio State's practice or whatever. And because again, there's always like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a patsy, where you can say, oh, he's just some crazy guy. He's some crazy Georgia fan. He's trying to help out and whatever, so you can always have the plausible deniability. But I don't know. It would be interesting to see where it was found at, how it was found. Obviously the reaction to because again, when you're walking around, you're not expecting to find a rolling tripod, but when you do, you're like, holy cow, like it really is true. And I know that Ohio State's taking some measures right now. Like I said, we'll get into that tomorrow, to prevent the sign stealing and that type of deal. But it's going to be really interesting to see what else they do in wake of this, and if it was caught any other days or whatever, and if they change signals. I don't know. There's a lot of gamesmanship, and like Kirby Smart yesterday, when the media was available, had the team do literally calisthenics and stretches and conditioning drills for 20 minutes because both teams had to give the media like a 20-minute window to watch practice. And then today, they did yoga for 20 minutes. So, Kirby Smart isn't showing these idiots anything. Like these media people that walk in and think, ooh, I'm going to get to look at what they're running and who's running where and some depth chart stuff. Like Kirby Smart doesn't give any of those people anything because he hates them. So in most cases, and every coach hates the media because the media, they're the first people to turn on you. They're the first person to write negative stuff about you. So that's just kind of the relationship you're in when you're a football coach, a head coach, a coordinator. Because, those guys that'll smile on your face at the press conference, they'll write the most backstabbing, terrible article about you as soon as you lose a game or you lose a commitment or whatever. It goes really fast. And these guys, I've seen it. I've lived it. I've seen, when we lost to Florida, LSU, when Trussell got fired, I've seen the media just crucify people, and it's ugly. And it's the local guys just as much as the national guys. Obviously the national guys can be much worse because they don't live in the town. They don't have to go cover the stupid media thing every week. But, and that's what always cracked me up is like, we give these national guys all this access. And I'm like, those guys kill us. They absolutely crucify us. Like, oh, come on in, come on in and walk around and hang out with the players and coaches. And I'm like, those guys are just like, they're the worst human beings on earth. But I digress. I don't know, Nevada. What do you think? Do you think it was like a Teddy Ruxpin or like the little camera that was on Wolf of Wall Street, or what are you envisioning from the Georgia Spygate?
Well, that's what I'm just thinking. Ryan Day's got to respond. He should put out some like Brutus the Buckeye head with like a secret camera in it or something like that, and put that out there. You know what I'm saying? We need spy versus spy. We need a little counter espionage, and I think that's probably the answer. We're just the guys that do it. We need to fly a drone in there. I need a drone pilot to contact me via the site, and let's fly a drone in there. Let's record the calisthenics or the yoga, the hot yoga that Georgia's doing, and see if we can discern anything from it.
I think a drone would be an excellent investment, excellent idea. Gas powered, quiet. I think the really quiet ones that can have a far range are really expensive. So, but I think we need to go big here. Go get a quiet drone, have it just kind of float around in there. Maybe it could go through the Chick-fil-A line before it leaves, and like get like a little claw thing that can grab a bag of Chick-fil-A and fly it back to the house.
That'd be awesome.
I think it'd be amazing, because that's, you're trying to get as much out of the drone as you can. So I think that's the next move is drone, cameras, maybe it could be smart enough to like drop cameras at multiple angles. So you could get like a sideline cam and a wide, so like drop a camera off on the side of the end zone, then drive over to the front of the end zone. So I like where your head's at. Oh, we got another super chat. Appreciate you guys. No, but like literally Georgia's doing yoga. Get him, Sue. Sue, you need to be a moderator in here. Sue's going off on somebody. I don't know who it is because I've been talking. No message from Shelby Goldman. Yeah, what questions you guys have? Hit that like button. Comment. I'd love to hear in the comments and in the chat. Do you think How big of an advantage is it if someone tapes your practice? I mean, obviously, I think these coaches know it's a huge advantage, but do you think it's a big deal? Nevada, do you think it's a big deal? I'd love your take on that.
I mean, I think it'd be a big deal if you could kind of get if they were scripting like the first 15 plays or something. Um, and clearly, you probably, I mean, the reason that teams do it is that they're getting some sort of an advantage. So I guess you could get some sort of an advantage out of it. And I, again, Belichick thought it was worth enough of an advantage to do it and cost themselves lots of money and first round draft picks and all sorts of disdain from the NFL. So, if it's good enough for Belichick, then I would have to say that you certainly could get some sort of advantage. But again, to my original point, when I heard this original story, I did not believe it, and I did not give it a lot of run. Probably just because I dismiss generally stuff that I hear on the internet, knowing that 99% of it's garbage. But this is that 1% of the time where it wasn't garbage, and there was a little bit of gold in there. So it's definitely making things interesting for sure. To kind of not that the stakes aren't already huge and all the chips are in the table on Saturday, but it certainly makes it even more interesting as far as I'm concerned to have this little subplot of Spygate going on.
No, I agree. I think that if you really drill down and if you can get film on specific parts of practice, like if you just watch the whole 2-hour practice, you're like, okay, now they're doing a red zone session. Okay, let's see what they're trying to do versus us in the red zone. Okay, this is a concept. This is a concept. Okay, they put Marvin in the slot, Emeka at the Z. This is the route combination they like to run. On the 20-yard line, the 15-yard line.
Stop telling him, Kirk. Stop telling them what they're doing. Stop.
They're running slants. They're running. What is it? What's funky run with Lamar Jackson? Looky.
Oh,
what is it?
Peak zone funky.
Peep zone funky looky. Yes, that's what.
Yeah,
that's read option with Lamar Jackson and Bo Jackson and throwing it to Jerry Rice. Like have fun stopping it. Or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean that's where you can get real value. It's more just. Okay, in the red zone, these are the concepts. Okay, what are they going to do in goal line? Because you always run. When you're moving the field on a Thursday, you run a goal line play, you run a red zone play, you run a 2-point play. I mean, really, the best day to film, and a day that I don't think they'll be able to film, would be tomorrow, because I would imagine tomorrow they're going to have the walkthrough at the hotel. They'll just do it in the ballroom and kind of move up and down the ballroom. You don't really need a full field for that because you're not running or anything. But that's always a really good day to do because, tonight the coaching staff is, they're cutting room floor. What plays are we throwing out? What's the final game plan going to be? Because, you start off with just in a round number, say you start off with 100 plays you're going to call in the game. By the time it's tonight, you're down to 55 plays, 60 plays. You don't need 800,000 plays. You need like 55 or 60 with different formations and different motions so that it balloons into being 100, 200 plays. So it's I think the Friday walkthrough, which again the Patriots they were filming Friday walkthroughs. That's the best thing to get because then you're really seeing what they really like to do. If you get full field looks, because a lot of times the other receivers don't run the full routes or you don't get as much, but you can kind of see like what they're trying to do in the goal line. A lot of times you get the 2-point play because most teams carry 1 2-point play that they use, maybe 2 at most, but usually 1 that they carry it until they actually have to use it, and then the next week they replace it with a different 2-point play. So I think that's where there's real advantages, but I think that the later in the week you get, the better the practices to steal and view because you're really getting down to the plays that they're going to run. Early in the week they're trying all kinds of stuff. And, a lot of the coaches will sit in the staff room. They'll say, okay, we ran it. We screwed it up 2 out of the 3 times. Okay, throw it out. And why did we throw it out? Why did we do it? Well, Marvin didn't get the rub route right, or, the back isn't comfortable with it. The back doesn't like to play, whatever it is. Like, that's why things get cut, because it doesn't take much to cut a play. Because if the players don't like it or the players screw it up, it ain't going to get called in the game, period. So, you got to get back to What do the players like to run? What are their favorite plays? What do they feel confident in? And what worked in practice? Because if it never works in practice, you're not going to throw it out there in a game and hope that it works then. So, Nevada, I don't know. I have this weird confidence right now where it's like I've watched Georgia and I think that they're very good, but I don't think that they're a juggernaut. And I felt like that in 14 when I watched Alabama, because that Auburn team, and go look up that Auburn game in 14 and look up how many yards Auburn ran for. They ran for like 250 yards against that Georgia team. And I was like, our O-line's better than Auburn's was that year. And Ezekiel was better than Cameron Artis Payne or whatever his name was. So, and I thought Urban does a great job. Urban's easily the best analyst out there. So I like to listen to what he has to say. And he talked about how, when they beat Wisconsin 59-0, and then they're getting ready to play at Bama that night, and Wisconsin just happened to be playing Auburn, and Wisconsin went out and beat Auburn. And that Auburn team gave Alabama all they could handle in 2014, and Wisconsin went out and thumped them. And so that and Urban said that was like the ultimate moment that like the light bulb turned on and the confidence went through the roof, and the team was like, oh my God, like we can beat Bama. And it's weird because like you'd never think like that, but these kids, I'm telling you, they get down in the weeds and they're very comparative. They love to look at the schedule. They love to look at any sort of commonality or whatever and say, okay, well, we played, Oregon last year and they beat us, and then Georgia beat Oregon this year, and kids do that, and so it was funny when Urban talked about how that was like the turning moment of 14 was when Wisconsin whooped Auburn, and then and we beat Wisconsin 59-0, and people were like, wow, this is really doable. What is your reaction to that, Nevada? I don't know if you remember that story. I mean, I know that was like an urban legend that Urban liked to talk about a lot, but it makes sense. But I mean, does that surprise you when you hear something like that?
Well, first of all, Urban Meyer was a master psychologist.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, here's a stat for you Ohio State fans. Urban Meyer, when he was at Ohio State, was an underdog. I believe it was 7 times. Okay. Not only did they cover the spread all 7 times, they won the games outright all 7 times as an underdog at Ohio State. That's how good a coach Urban Meyer was. So any little edge that he could use, any little thing about comparative scores or about what we can do against these guys, or somehow convincing guys to play above their level, he was a master, and he did it everywhere he was. And we just got spoiled by seeing it. So, we're going to look for another one of those big efforts on Saturday. And, like I said, I think the Buckeyes are going to be up for the task. I really like the feel of this game. I like the feel of this team. I feel like I was only surprised by one thing this entire year, frankly, and it was the second half of the Michigan game. I thought other than that, I had a pretty good handle on this Ohio State team. And, I really feel like they're poised for a big effort, and no, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, and as an Ohio State fan, here's the good thing too: you can go into watching the game with no expectations either, with no expectations, with no pressure. We're the number 4 seed. Everybody's expecting Georgia to win, so just sit back, enjoy it. Really truly sit back and try to enjoy the game as much as you can, because it's going to be quite a show.
I agree. I think it's going to be, again, when you're the underdog and you're in Georgia and they're the defending champs, you have nothing to lose. And I was thinking, when's the last time a team repeated? Did Alabama repeat at some point? I mean, it's, winning a back-to-back national championships is really, really, really hard to do, especially in modern era football. Doesn't happen often. I mean, we slipped up obviously in 02, we slipped up in 14. I think Georgia's due. I mean, Georgia's due for a slip up. I know that they'll be coming out like fire because they're in Atlanta, they're in their home state. But sometimes I think that could be a negative thing because you have, kind of the home crowd, the home cooking. You've got, you might think it's going to be a little easier. You think that, everyone's going to pick you to win. Again, I've been in those shoes. We played better against LSU when we were the underdogs and everybody picked us to lose than we did against Florida when everybody picked us to win. Because when you're the favorite and everyone's projecting you to win your second national championship, that makes it harder. I think when you have no expectations like Ryan Day and CJ Stroud, and the fact that we lost and we went out and got thumped, and these kids have been beat down, and these kids are angry, and these kids have been practicing in a very nasty way. I mean, it's been a nasty disposition because when you have a bunch of morons and idiots and the sludge, the worst human beings in the Ohio State fan base attacking these kids nonstop. These kids don't get to punch the fans. They don't get to punch or beat up the morons that are saying that stuff and hiding behind screen names, but they do get to go against each other in practice and take out that anger and that aggression on each other. And that's been happening a lot. And that's not a guess. I talked to guys on the team, talked to coaches on the team, and guess what? They said it's been really nasty, and it's not. And you want to say it's not anger towards each other, but I mean, when you beat these kids down and you make them angry and they get a chance to kind of right the wrong and get after something and go beat something up, it's no difference than someone beating up a punching bag, someone, whatever. I mean, it just, and I love that. I love that this team has been really banging in practice, like banging full pads. I mean, Ryan's had him in full pads more now than I think he ever has, which is great. I love it. Physical, tough, and that's what you're going to need on the road against a team like Georgia, because Georgia's entire mentality is physical toughness. And, our guys, we talk a lot about toughness and toughness, but are we actually really tough? I don't know. And this is the ultimate barometer because you're playing the Georgia Bulldogs, who that's their entire mantra is physical toughness. So you go beat these guys, then yeah, you're real tough. I mean, you're tough. You're the new toughest kid on the block. And again, the more I look at just the numbers, the matchups, who Georgia's played, who we've played, I love it. I think we've seen multiple secondaries that are as good or better than Georgia's. I think Penn State's is much better than Georgia's. And, like I said, they gave up 500 yards last time they played in the air. So people can say junk time, whatever, but I mean, LSU had their backup quarterback in too, slinging it all over the field on them. And they've got good receivers. They don't have Marvin and Emeka. So again, it could be false bravado, it could be insanity, but I love the matchups. I keep saying it. I think that our offensive line has to play much better. They have to play lower. They have to play better with their hands. And I think they can. And I think, not having Matt Jones from Michigan really hurt us, like in a major way. I mean, Matt's one of those guys who's unheralded, probably won't get drafted. He might come back for a 6th year. But he's a physically strong guy. I used to ask, guys on the interior D-line, who's the hardest guy to go against? And years ago, someone said Matt Jones. And I was like, Matt Jones? Really? Like, he's even played. It's like, no, he's just really like a cock strong guy. He's a strong dude. Like, and there's some guys that are like that. They're hard to bull rush. They're hard to move. I know that he's been hampered by a bad ankle. And I wish that when the media was available for practice, when these guys spat their ankle, a spat is when they tape the outside of their shoes. A lot of times guys do it because it looks cool, but there is some utility for offensive linemen to spat. Like when I was in the NFL, I would tape my ankles and spat because it gives you a little bit more support in case you get rolled up. But I wish you had spat both ankles so that the media, I wish all the O-line would just spat all their ankles so that it's not just one big giant tape job on his right ankle and everyone's pointing out, oh, his right ankle must be what's hurt and he's hobbling along. And, I don't know. I just, little things like that annoy me. Nevada, you're any rebuttal, and you can say I'm crazy because you already know that I'm crazy, but am I crazy for thinking that Ohio State has a really good chance in this game?
No, I don't think it's any crazier than asking the question why, after this story about this camera's broken, how nobody in the credential media has even asked the question. They've asked about what their opinions are on the TCU Michigan score prediction, or who won Papa Shot, or how good the breakfast was at the hotel and stuff like that. But no questions about this. This is a big story, and I'd like to have that answer, but it's going to be up to us and our super sleuths out there in the Atlanta and our drone, our pay it forward drone, that we're going to have to get the answer to this. So to everybody out there listening, we need to get the answers. We need to band together and find out the answer to this. Who left the camera running? Where was the film going? We need to demand answers before Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I would have just asked the question to get a reaction. I would have asked Ryan Day. I would have asked the coordinators, whoever's available at media day, just get a reaction because of course they're going to deny it and oh, I haven't heard that or whatever. But I'd like to get the facial expressions and the reaction to see, if there's any level of anger. Because I mean, I imagine there would be because, excuse me, I'm sure Ryan addressed it with the staff. He might have addressed it with the team. I honestly, at this point with Ryan, I doubt he would address it with the team because I think he would just dread one of the players going with it on social media and making it into a bigger spectacle than it already is. But, I mean, it's a big story now, and again, I don't think that, I think Ryan is being really smart about this because he doesn't want it to be an excuse. He doesn't want it to be oh, well, they taped our practice and that's why they beat us. And, because again, no matter what you say, people are going to use it against you. So I think that's why it's staying under wraps. But man, what a story. I mean, and again, that's why I don't trust those guys as far as I would throw them. Those SEC guys, like, you got to come practice in their building, and it's a stadium they play in. I mean, they played in the kickoff classic there. They play in the SEC title game. They play there every year. It's in Georgia. And again, like, it only takes one, guy to say, oh yeah, you can use my suite or you can use my thing. And, oh, I got to go change out the picture frames in my suite. Do you mind if I bring my tripod and my handy cam in or whatever? Cause I don't know. I look at it. It's such a big building. If you really want to take practice, it just wouldn't be that hard to do, and nobody would ever know. I mean, I think that, the only thing that the guy did is he forgot to put the piece of tape over the little red light that's blinking while the camera's going. So that was probably where he got caught. Well, bowl game madness is going on. Oklahoma, Florida State, Nevada. Are you watching this one right now? First half under King?
Not watching it, but for all you guys that follow Buckeye Scoop, we've been turning you guys on to a money machine. Basically, bet the first half unders on these bowl games, and you're making a lot of money. 2 more bowl games today down. Both first half unders hit. So we're handing out free money at BuckeyeScoop.com. Anybody who's a gambler, and now that with gambling becoming legal in Ohio on January 1st, it's just basically going to be sit back, sit on your phone, and make money all day long on these free picks that we're handing out. So enjoy the gift from Santa Nevada today.
Well, Texas, Washington tonight. That's a big one. Number 20, Texas, number 12, Washington in the Alamo. It's funny. The Alamo Bowl has gotten better and better, I feel like. So you got to get to see Quinn Ewers versus Michael Penix, my boy, Quinn Ewers, no Bijan. I mean, he's going to be really short staffed up there, but that'll be a good one to watch, a fun one to watch. I love these games that kick off at like 9 and 10 o'clock at night. Cause it's just like, great. We get to watch Wisconsin start at 10 o'clock. It's kind of like Pac-12 after dark. Nevada, Sue, you need to join BuckeyeScoop.com because you're on all these lives and you're really hilarious. She asked, why won't Nevada? That's a great question for you. Why won't the media ask about Cameragate, Spygate in a press conference? They'll ask about any other dumb question, but they won't ask about this. Why is that?
Well, it's it's just the way that the media goes. It's like the media kind of senses that Ryan doesn't want to talk about it, so they're not going to do anything that kind of upsets Ryan or do anything. So that's why they feed him all these softball questions, and it's the way that the media's always played it, and it's uncanny. You can go back and watch these press conferences, and he's just got them kind of bullied where, if they say something that's out of line, he snaps at them, and they just run back into their little hole. And this isn't exactly New York in terms of challenging guys on the media, but this I guarantee you this would be a big story somewhere else. And like you said, it'd be at least worth asking the question just to hear the response. And he may just laugh it off and go, "Oh no, nothing to it, just internet craziness here." But I don't know. It makes for an interesting story on a Thursday night, that's for sure.
Yeah, and again, I think if this was the other way around and Ohio State was filming Georgia's practice, and again,
allegedly,
like if they had the giant, again, I could just like see if they had say they had Funky, who is son of Nevada, is his nickname, and he walks in with the Brutus Buckeye head on, and the one eyeball is just like a black lens, and then the other eyeball is like the regular Brutus eyeball. And he's walking around hitting his head and doing all the little Brutus mannerisms. And they're like, "Man, Brutus, that's weird. Your left eye really looks like a Canon camera. That's really weird." oh no, this is my new and improved artificial intelligence Brutus. Well, I can walk around better with it. Like, I think Funky would be excellent at that.
Yeah, no, he'd be in, but and again, Brutus doesn't talk, so you'd have to pantomime all those little answers out and stuff like that. But definitely he'd be in for it.
Well, I mean, Brutus's go-to is where he like hits his head like on the side. I mean, they even did that
Yeah,
in the old
yeah,
video game. So I mean, he could just always, if he doesn't understand it and he says like no habla, he can just like hit his head. You know, like hey, I don't know,
yeah,
I have
yeah.
CTE. So, but I'm gonna get cranked up for this. I gotta go watch. My wife went to Free Shoes University, so I'm gonna go watch the end of this. It looks like it's 18-17. That's like scoregami in the third quarter. So I'm gonna go crank this up. We appreciate all of you guys tuning in. Nevada, do you have any parting shots? Georgia, if you are recording this, we will get you with a copyright strike. We promise. That'll be all over your YouTube channel. So do not record this the way you recorded Ohio State's practice.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Any
Yeah.
parting shots, Nevada, to end the night as we are now 2 sleeps away from the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl versus the Georgia Bulldogs?
No, just loving what I'm hearing. I really am. And I've been through good bowl preps. I've been through bad bowl preps. I've been through dissension. I've been through loss of focus. I've seen it all. Been doing this a long time, and this is gonna be a good effort. They're gonna put on a good show. You know, whether that's good enough to beat a really good Georgia team, we'll yet to see. But it's going to be a great effort, and I'll put my reputation on that one.
I agree. I'm just telling you the way, the vibe I get from the people in the program. I mean, again, the anger is palpable. Like you can't make it up when you've been just beaten, because it's not just getting beaten down by the national media and by other fan bases. Like our team's getting beat down by their own fan base, by the own people that like love them and Buckeye Nation and the best damn fans in the land. It's like these guys are killing these players. And I tell these guys, I'm like, look, you guys won this one. Just remember who rode with you and who didn't. Because I mean, that bandwagon, they beat Georgia, man. That bandwagon is going to be loaded up. Every flight to LA is going to be booked. Every flight's going to be sold out. All the posers are going to be showing up wanting to be back on the Ohio State bandwagon. I'll be like, look, we were disappointed, but I didn't kill these kids. I was disappointed in some of the play calls and some of the stuff, but there's some people that just came off the top rope, including media people, like local media people went off on these kids. And I'm just like, guys, it happens, it's just part of playing football. Like nobody goes undefeated every year, but these guys have a real shot to do something special. And I'm excited for them. I'm excited for the guys that I love, like Tommy Eichenberg, Paris Johnson, JT Tumalo, Jackson, like those guys are, they're tough kids, they're prideful kids. And I think they have a real opportunity here. They gotta knock that tight end out. They gotta put Stetson Bennett on the ground multiple times early in the game, and they just have to survive whatever initial surge Will Muschamp throws at our offense, because he runs some crazy stuff. I mean, that's just kind of their MO in these big games. They start off running some crazy stuff, try to get you rattled, try to get you off kilter, and you just have to survive that. You survive that initial wave, you pick it up. You punish them, if they're going to blitz and you can throw the way Michigan threw on us, then just punish them, make them pay for it. Because I don't think they can hold up on the outside versus our receivers. I just, and our receivers have to play the best games they've played of their entire lives, better than the Rose Bowl last year for us to win. So they got to get separation. They got to, 50-50 balls have to be 80-20 balls. They have to go get it and carry us. Because in games like this, your skill guys have to win. Like when we played Notre Dame, beat them, Santonio Holmes, Ted Ginn, Troy, those guys carried us. The Lions were kind of a push on both sides between Notre Dame and Ohio State. The skill guys were the ones that made play. Antonio Pittman broke away from them. The skill guys have to make plays. Like with Florida, Ted Ginn broke his leg. The whole thing went out the window. Our best player was hurt on the first play, so the dream died almost instantly. So, and you have to have the impact guys. And when we lost LSU, our skill guys were good. Beanie was good, but we dropped a touchdown pass. We didn't get separation, and that kills you. In these big games, the skill guys have to be the ballers. They have to dominate on the edge, and I think we have the guys to do it. And again, I think these guys they're talented, they're prideful, they want to amplify their NFL draft stock after some of these guys got dinged versus Michigan. So it's going to be exciting. So I'd already asked you once about it, but any final thoughts as I'm truly going to wrap this thing up now. We're at an hour. Appreciate all of you tuning in, but any final thoughts, Nevada?
Bet the Dallas, Tennessee under tonight, under 40 and a half.
God. I mean, Tennessee's treat that like a preseason game. I mean, they've got Josh Dobbs, who they signed a week ago, starting at quarterback. Oh my God.
Yeah, so I'm going under 40 on that, and let's all go to the window and get happy.
Go get that money. All right, I appreciate you, bro. I'm going to wrap this thing up. As always, thank you guys. We appreciate you guys. Thank you, Sue. I see a lot of you guys on here all the time. We appreciate you guys. I hope you guys are members of BuckeyeScoop.com. I think you guys need to be. It's cheaper than Netflix, and you'll get 10 times the use out of it. Great community, fantastic group of people, mega donors, board of trustees people, parents of players. Like, we have a very eclectic, strong crowd on there. Very well policed, a very fun board to be a part of. It's not a burn board. We don't let just people just trash each other like a traditional message board. So it's a very upscale experience. It's the Rolls Royce of Ohio State message boards, and we're going to keep it that way because, you know, we kind of we've learned our lesson. Not everybody needs to be allowed here. We want it to be high quality people, and some of you guys like Sue and some of you guys would be great adds to our community. So we appreciate you guys as always. It's a great Christmas gift. If you did get what you want for Christmas and you want to make your Christmas better, join BuckeyeScoop.com. You'll instantly be happier. We're going to have a huge game thread. We had Bill Green's chat today. A lot of great content. So I think you guys would really enjoy it. So appreciate you guys. Again, bang that like button. If you haven't hit like yet, I would love if you guys would. It really helps our video out. It drives views to this video. Big help for us. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do that. It really helps. Again, these are little things that take 1 second to do. It really helps support the channel. Huge for us. Write comments on our videos. Again, that is another huge thing that drives the YouTube algorithm, promotes our video. And again, that even if you say, you know, great show, bad show, go Bulldogs, you know, I don't delete any comments. I love all the comments you guys write. So we appreciate you guys. Again, we love having comments. Comment, who needs to be the MVP of the game? Is it Matt Jones versus Jalen Carter? I want names. I want to hear who you think. Is it Marvin? Does Marvin have to have, you know, give me a stat line, 10 catches, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns for us to win. You know, give me the numbers that you guys are projecting in your heads. I know you guys, big Friday tomorrow, big work day tomorrow for you guys. And then Saturday, it is party time. It is go time for the Buckeyes. And also shout out where you're from. I love when you guys do this. So please write where you're from. Say, you know, I've got people from Canton, Ohio. I got people from Naples, Florida. Got people from Alaska. Got people from Japan, Indonesia. I've had people from everywhere. If you're listening to this on an audio podcast, if you guys could subscribe to iTunes and Spotify, download them every day. You don't have to listen to them every day. I'd love if you listen to them every day. Those are huge for our numbers, and they really help us grow the channel. Leave us a 5-star review on both platforms, and we will love you forever and ever. And if you do that on all of our platforms, it guarantees Ohio State will beat Georgia. I promise. Just kidding. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. I will see you guys on BuckeyeScoop.com. About to jump on there for this big Alamo Bowl between Texas and Washington, watching former Buckeye Quinn Ewers. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your night or day for listening to this on Friday morning. And as always, we appreciate you guys so much. Go Bucks. See you on BuckeyeScoop.com. Time to beat the Bulldogs.